Hello and welcome everybody to Alumni Spotlight, Father Consigliere Roderick's College of Engineering's Alumni Spotlight on prestigious alumni who have achieved their mark in professional life. So here I am, Mayur Agarwal, batch of 2007 production and now currently professor of practice at the mechanical department at the college, and I'm very proud to be interviewing Gulshan Vasishtha, who is our alumni, our prestigious alumni, who's been shortlisted for this spotlight, and something that we are very proud of. He too is my classmate from 2007 production batch, and thank you for being a part of this, Gulshan.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So, first things first, I'm going to ask you a little bit about yourself and how your journey has panned out to, where you are right now. So,
Thank you, Professor Agarwal, and a good friend. Okay. Thank you, Mayur. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to think of Father CRC. It is definitely a big part of all of our lives. My story really is a story of a backbencher. So I'm at best a Raju of the three idiots for this interview. I'm nowhere close to the Rancho. Like I said, at best a Raju. That's the definition of my 4 years at Father CRC. I mean, more of catching up, more of keeping pace with the pace at which production was run by our professors. But of course that kind of grilling, the kind of sharpening and honing us is really landed us such a comfortable position in life. So like for my entire life indebted to Father CRC of what it has done, what it has given back to us as students and now as professionals. Looking forward to this conversation. My introduction, I'm also batch 2007. Of course, very fond memories of the 4 or 5 years at the school. Looking forward to this conversation. Happy to share what I know. Really looking forward to see how we can touch upon more
absolutely.
CRCEites.
Absolutely. I think the committee had a great discussion looking at your profile. As a matter of fact, we were, I think we couldn't count as many people in the UN from our alumni, and we were extremely proud that you have, been now a part of the UN. So tell me a little bit about how from production engineering to being a part of the United Nations.
Thanks, Mehul. Thanks for that question. So this is an interesting journey. It goes back to actually my. Let's start from my absolute low point, which actually occurred at Father CRC. I remember one of our professors back then told me about life is about a graph, right? Don't think of where you are at this moment, but just think of kaizens, small improvements. That's the language that they used to talk about back in the day. Small improvements, and just see how life shapes up, and that's truly what happened. I mean, I can give you my trajectory. My life at CRC really was. I wanted to pass out with a distinction. I mean, really, I wanted to see that on my final year result. There's a small little goal that I set for myself. And honestly, the grill at CRCE, I'd say, just makes you. I don't think CRC really does a great job at actually talking about its values that it inherently inculcates into all its engineers. I don't think we kind of talk about it so much, but I'll come to that in a minute. As soon as I came out of engineering, I got into a Swedish pump company called Johnson Pumps. And I was doing great. I was a project engineer, just like everybody else. But they just loved my work ethics, my and exactly the what I mentioned, the work ethics. That's what Father CRC taught me. I was a decent enough engineer. By the end of it, I was okay. Let me also say that I understood, what was taught, and I could assimilate the knowledge that was needed. But then I thought it was too easy for me, and that's what CRC does to you. You go out to the world and like, what the heck? This is not something that I cannot do. Of course, the other big thing back in the days with production was also 6 months of the industrial training. That kind of, you are there, what an industry is before your other batchmates, like the other divisions, the electronics and others, the IT. Of course, they know probably from their family, but we knew industries. We had that 6 month advantage. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So that was I think the pivotal point really was when I took up Tata's after that. And I tell you, there is some parallel in when I say I am the Raju, is because when I was sitting in the aerospace division of Tata, that was the first business, and I was really lucky. I was really lucky to work with my then chief technical officer, Mr. Maiti, who used to work directly with Ratan Tata, actually. I didn't work with Mr. Tata in the initial days, of course. And my interview was, they said we're going to be getting Boeing 787 to India, and we need project engineers. And I went through the basic questions, and by the end, I was like, I know nothing of aerospace. And he was like, the chief technical officer of Tata has told me, I know nothing of aerospace either. So let's join the team and let's see what we can do. I mean, but really, the passion was that I wanted to be in mainstream industry, and that, I tell you, I go back to my drawing sheets. That hardworking again comes to the value system that we don't talk about so much, but the discipline, the integrity that we had, the honesty to doing things, was inculcated, and that was probably attractive to our recruiters in the initial days. So that worked on, and I really got into the business side of things and started to learn about business and how do we get into investments. A large impact on my life is about investments. I am currently the regional investment head for Asia for climate change, and I lead 17 countries. I work with the ministries of finance. I am not an MBA of finance. I am only an engineer of Father CRC. So all my formal education for finance comes from the Tata Group. Really, I can rip apart any financial model. I talk to the private equity, to the venture capitalists. I say this with pride, but also with a lot of grilling that went through. But I was ready for that grind. Without formal education of finance, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be afraid of it, because if I could do MD sheets, then I can do anything in the world. It really was that. And then, of course, life moved on, and went to the government of India, where I was with the Department of Science and Technology. I was heading their business development arms.
Gulshan, which year was Tata's, and then which year did you join the government?
So I did. So we passed out 2007. Immediately, I joined this Johnson Pumps. Yeah. I did that for like 10 months or something, and then I moved on in 2008 to Tata's, and then in 2012, end of 2012, I joined. The government of India. I did that for 2 years, and then I moved to Korea. Because my wife moved from the US.
I think we'll come to that. That is, I think, one of the most interesting things that I heard when I was interacting with you. I think so. So you're telling me 4 years, 2008 to 12, is working with the Tatas, working in the aerospace aspect of Tatas. That is so interesting, because right now we hear about them, with Air India and with a couple of other, Air Force projects that they are doing. but this is way before. So tell us a little bit about how those years were like.
Get goosebumps, yeah, goosebumps talking about those days, and I mean it when I say the respect to Mr. Tata comes from those days, because we did Boeing 787, the first company to try outside of HAL,
Huh.
mark my words, outside of HAL, the first large component that we were doing of a plane
Okay.
outside coming into India. So there was a offset policy by the government of India, and they were looking for organizations to raise their hand and be like, could you take up this new task? And they're like,
Mm.
yeah, sure. Now, if I get into one layer deeper,
Mm.
it's the first time that they were moving away from aluminum components to
Mm.
CFRP and GFRP, glass fiber reinforced
Last
plastic
one.
and carbon fiber reinforced plastic.
Mm.
And we were literally making the structural components of the plane 787.
Mm.
Nobody knew how to cost this bloody thing. I mean, this is a component that's been made in Seattle. It's still not been made in Seattle. They're still doing the last bit of R&D. It's going to get on 787s. The government of India has ordered 787s, and there needs to be an offset policy. And what do you do with that offset of 30%? What do you bring back to India?
Mm.
That's where the vision of Mr. Tata comes in. The passion for transformation that he really had. Mayur, um, we were told, I was looking at the books of accounts. I was building the financial model. That financial model, for anybody who understands, has 7% project IRR. You cannot do business at that rate. But his single sentence to the group was, profits will come and go, losses will come and go. We will not turn back, because this is India changing. And that was a constant. This was, he said it in a town hall. This wasn't specifically to the group, but that was his impact. He just invested into things that were, he wanted to be a pioneer. He didn't think about
Mm.
the finances, and then really the technical arm, the commercial arms. Uh, it's just amazing how the story turns
Mm.
around, and you suddenly start to see some light at the end of the tunnel, and be like, oh, there's actually some scope to make money out of this business as well.
Mm-hmm.
um, what happened after that deal, Boeing 787,
Mm.
is that we started to do Rolls Royce, the first aero engine component. So imagine that his vision, we were doing structural parts, which are of course critical, but still not the plane's not going to fall off, right? If you
Mm.
have, but immediately second component that we started to look at was close to the fan. Actually, it's called OGV, outlet guided vanes. Immediately after the fan blade of Rolls Royce TWX, I cannot tell you the detail. Maybe it's out now, but there are fan blades behind, and we started manufacturing that, or at least discussing that with Rolls Royce. So yeah, those were the days.
My,
Very
my.
very interesting days, and a lot of learning. And I can talk all night about it, but really really yeah, enjoyed my time. And really, I mean, going back to the school,
Huh.
all of this was, if I really want to
Yeah.
connect, Mayur, um, it's the fear of unknown was really gone. Yeah, like really, what CRCE did for us is, we were not afraid of anything. I really don't think we were afraid of anything. We just be like, okay, yeah, let we do it. Let's do it. That
My.
attitude. You know what? Let's draw a very good analogy to this.
Mm.
When CRC production guys, they go onto that stage and do their very very beautiful dances. I think that quality is it actually talks a lot about the mindset of the boys. I say
My,
boys
my.
because there are hardly any girls.
Correct.
Um, and when I say the mindset is, we don't bloody care. We're out there, and they bloody, acting as if they're shitting on the road on the stage, and they are in their gungies and in their shorts. It's not disgrace. It's actually an act of very very bold. The confidence that we have.
My.
Really, I mean, it talks way more than just the humor that we laugh about. But all of that is gone.
I
you
think,
know
yeah, yeah.
and professors make us go through so much grinding and so much shame in the vivas. There's no shame left. We're out there like, let's do this. Yeah, I mean, what worse can happen? So I mean, that no, I mean, we don't think about these things, but really that And honestly, decade in after the school, you kind of forget, those things, and somewhere or the other, it just becomes a part of your fabric. You
Mm.
really, really, you take those things with you. You carry those things with you, and that passion, that attitude remains. Attitudes of could be kar lenge yaar, like really, and that's
I
what is
think
that is the biggest driving factor, to be
I,
honest.
I think it's a lovely point that you are stressing on, and something that we end up forgetting, that school can teach you confidence as well. Confidence in a manner that not only outside, outside of the academics bit, which is what you're talking about.
Let me give you some. Let me give you a couple of points. Actually, if students listen to this, they should actually write it down.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna be hard skills and soft skills. This is
Ah,
when I recruit now. I'm always looking for this. Because now we've gotten beyond ourselves, right? It's about our team. Um, I seldom look for hard skills anymore. Really,
okay.
it's really the soft skills.
Lovely.
And I draw another analogy. When I was at the lowest point of my academics, which was actually at CRC, there was a lot of respect for the professors, and I used to talk very highly about our professors and
Always,
be
yeah.
like, "Yaar, kya padhate hain?" And they are amazing and all of that. And somebody who didn't know CRC, like, what the heck? I mean, why are you so vocal about your professors?
Mm.
That guy is teaching the same subject for 30 years, right? So in his sleep, he can teach the same subject. But I pondered upon it after PE, and it wasn't really just the topic that they were teaching. The respect came out of somewhere else, and that really was how they were grilling, how they were teaching you those things. The topic in itself was fine. The hard
Mm.
skill is fine.
Mm.
But I'm telling you, we have to become a little more vocal about our, and it needs a little bit of soul searching, and it is in all the CRCites, but to put it in words and to actually start to be vocal about it, like the boldness the integrity that CRC teaches, the discipline, and they never say, I don't know the words. You can, probably we can think about it another day, but
And
uh, you
I think the
know,
perseverance, I think it teaches you
perseverance. That's
perseverance.
the word,
Yeah.
perseverance. So we need to literally, like, make this bold and italic, and paste this on the entire building of CRC, that this is what we're going to give you back, apart from the acads, which every other school would give.
Lovely.
But those are the things that really, like, they become a big standpoint, and you can't go without those soft skills.
I think,
That's
yeah,
yes.
I think you are, rightly pointing out one aspect which was crucial to the teaching at CRC. And I think that comes with the logo also that we had, was molding engineers who will make the nation. It was such a bold promise that a college is making.
Yeah,
And I remember Dr. Shisha Iyer, during the initial days, also, my God, during admission days, and how he
yeah,
used to approach, his approach, his line of thinking was so much bigger than just the task at hand.
yeah. That is a brilliant. It's a brilliant way of looking at it. And now that you bring Dr. Ayer to the picture, it definitely brings fond memories. I mean, um, think about it. That line has nation building in it. They were
I
just
know.
teaching,
Yeah,
Tom and mechanics, but
correct.
the vision was nation building. At least the thought process was. This is leadership, and that's what CRC is meant to be. I mean, uh, you know, we are so lucky. We're so lucky to be a part of this school, which is really, in its own way, rubbed upon so deeply, not only on ourselves, but also somewhere touches our souls, right? And makes ourselves what we are today.
My.
So, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I
wow.
think
I'm getting
you.
goosebumps talking to you now. Anyways,
Yeah. I think there's so many, small stories that you've also mentioned, which I think probably, it's so close to your heart right now. I don't know whether we should be discussing them, but I think you're right on all of those facts. And I think this is what I think early on in your career, this is what we had. I think we had this sort of drive, and we had sort of this mental stamina to
Yeah.
kind of be able to take challenges. And I notice a lot that during the initial periods of your career, you have a lot of mistakes that you make. and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and I think
Absolutely.
generally I see a lot of other students from other colleges giving up quite easily.
Yeah.
And I think, Gulshan, that's one of the things that, if you don't mind, I know it's a difficult ask, but tell us a little bit about how you came out of that year that you were held back. And
Yeah.
do
No,
you
no.
think you came back with regret? Do you came back with angst? Or tell us a little bit about how your if I'm not wrong, I
No.
think that was you joining our batch. Uh,
Yes, that was. So, like
hmm.
I said, look, that year is actually the most formative year of my entire career. Um, I had 9 KTs of 10 subjects. I just couldn't pass a subject. I don't know. I just don't know what happened to me that year. It is not that I was a terrible student. One thing that happened is we started very late, and we started in October, while of course August, and I started late, so I was just toggling, which I was trying to land to my college. Let's put it that way.
Hmm.
And I really tried hard in the beginning, and I thought there was a lot to catch up, with mechanics and CP and BEE and
Lots. I
Maths
think
one and all of that. Um,
applied sciences.
yeah, applied sciences and all that. So once I got in, it was just very overwhelming to me. But at the same time, I was about, hey, I've landed in Father CRC, so I really wanted to kind of enjoy enjoy the feeling, and I think that enjoyment went a little. I went a little overboard with the whole, you
No,
know.
no, fair enough. Fair enough. I think.
And I was a part of a lot of cultural activities, and not caring about, okay, fine. That
Hmm.
probably was the age. I mean, everything, all the tick in the boxes, recipe for failure. That's what it was. But I guess coming out of it is a very, very interesting story. So when you're that low, right, you really cleared only one exam. When I went back, my family was like, look, gotta support, but you gotta rise yourself, right? Let just
Hmm.
this is it, right? Uh, Also, to be honest, I don't have anybody that learner in my family. So I don't have engineers or doctors who actually knew how to help. So even if they wanted to, they couldn't. Um, so I was like, okay, fine. Let's just open the books. Now I have a lot of time. I have 1 year, right? Let's just open all the books, and let's give it a shot. Let's give it my best shot, and it can't be so difficult. It's just subjects after all. Um, and I was very serious. I was very serious, and then started that graph that I spoke about. That I really wanted to prove to myself that I will do well. I will, like I
Yes.
said, pass with a distinction in further CRC. Um, I cleared all 9 subjects in one go.
Yeah.
I actually had 6 months to spare,
Exactly.
uh, and so that was the seriousness, and that also made me think that, okay, I am not stupid, right? If I can clear 9 subjects in one go, where so then it was just that I was probably not there in my mental space.
No, I
I,
think it was just a moment of not paying attention. And I think
yeah,
if I remember right, 12th standard I think was also still quite hard on us. And
yeah,
even I remember, I think initial days, mechanics, picking up mechanics and things like that. And then you were like, this is like a world apart from what we were studying before that.
absolutely.
And
Yeah, but I think I want to mention, Mayur, something that
hmm,
actually what happened when I came to your batch, and to
hmm,
my batch eventually, is that
our batch.
our batch eventually, I really started to feel the need to be a part of, in engineering. What I feel, there are little groups that will form, a group of 10,
Yes,
a group of 8 to
yes.
10. which are solid, and within that there'll be a group of
Classmates,
3 to 4 who will be like
rock
chandi
solid.
buddies, matlab ekdam, drawing sheets to everything, right?
Actually,
Like,
you know what? I think it's a great point that you bring up. Our
yeah,
professors, our faculty, our staff was hands down extremely supportive and extremely driven. But one thing we always forget is that our peers also played a big part in this
100%,
journey.
100%.
Tell us a
So
little bit
100%.
about, do you think when you return back and because incidentally you're saying all of this, but I remember you as one of the most studious out of our batch, right?
Not really. I wouldn't say I was a studious. Well, I was the backbencher. I was the backbencher. I don't want to say anything good about that. My Viva scores, the highest was probably 15, so of 25. The other 25 marks was something else. Yeah, Viva and journals and everything. That
Yes.
also was maximum 15. I never got
Wow.
above that. So
Wow.
it was all the papers that the final year was a different thing.
Correct.
No, but the peer group. I mean, that I think is the bondings that are formed in engineering really remain. I mean, for me, you can almost see how much I loved engineering. That I loved people around. I ended up marrying somebody from the class, you know, and she was really the backbone, just in terms of sharing notes, and I would be just talking to her so much, really, all 3 years, and that was with all honesty. There was It was all studies. It was all so passionately talking about studies. There was another group of diploma guys whom I used to be close to, and that's because these guys were technically astute, right? Because that's what they knew from getting into CRC from diploma was tough. So these guys were smart people, yeah,
Hmm.
from diploma into the degree college. So yeah, and that peer group was a massive support. Um, the reason why I used to come uh, late into the school. I've never told this before, but probably
Hmm.
let me share that with you now. Is because I never took my fees from my parents after my drop. I used to actually work all vacations and make my fees, and then join when
Amazing.
it was only 60% or 70% attendance available. So I was the one marking. Oh, if I take so many classes, then I could get the 70%, and then I can sit, because CRC was also strict about attendance, right? It was one
Absolutely.
of those stories. I mean, yeah, it was fun days. I enjoyed it. It was
Amazing,
just my
Gulshan.
own thing. It was just my own fight, and I wanted to fight it my way, and I enjoyed it. Completely did.
And there's so much that I'm learning about you, Gulshan, that it's amazing. I don't think there were many classmates
Nobody
who
knows
were
about this.
working. I don't think anybody else was working and studying
No,
during.
I used to come to class after doing shifts. So I used to be not sleeping for like more than 3 hours, 4 hours a day for like many months.
Amazing.
It was only and that's why I never was prepared for the vivas and the tests. But after the vivas and tests, of course, I got time. I worked with these guys. Very few people know about this, actually. Probably nobody other than my wife.
Yeah, I think that's hats off to you, Gulshan, to be like that's something that you hear in the almost like in the movies in some ways, that a- and
Yeah.
it's such.
Let's think of a larger movie now after this talk.
I know, right? I know. Hats off to you. I think
Yeah,
that's
I enjoyed it,
fantastic
man.
because I
I
know.
enjoyed CRC. CRC is really the most formative years for whatever that happens to me. I mean, really, that was a
Hmm,
good starting point. And, you are actually, the other thing that I want to mention is,
hmm,
particularly in my case, is that is a pivot of friendship also. What happened is you're too attached to your school friends for a long time. You
correct,
know, and 11th and 12th standard is usually about getting those percentages to enter, right?
correct,
And this is a friendship that is formed under the stress situation. You literally have nobody else to go to. So
correct.
it's back more hostile with your friends to begin with, right? And some people just let you in into the group, because somebody will have those notes or somebody will have that knowledge. But of course, I also think of great colleagues and friends in Ronak Singh, for example. Oh my goodness! I mean, I cherish thinking about him, just thinking about him, that he had the passion. He was a true engineer of
True
one class, I
engineer.
would say.
Yeah, yeah.
And what he's doing in life today with, Amazon, he's somebody that you should get on your show if possible. Um,
I'm trying to get his time this winter if he comes, and I want him to come to college and
Absolutely.
talk
I
to the
mean,
students.
I would love to attend that, to be honest.
I
And
think we will be making it into a live feed. So
in all honesty, I would love to listen to his story. Just because that is a true engineer mindset. Who would not study for the exams, but who would be taking the reference and the other reference and the other reference, and all his library cards are taken off because he's taking the rest of the books from the library. Not to say that we didn't have access, but the point is that there were those kinds, and
yeah.
then there were our kinds, my kinds, who was kind of just trying to find out how the best way to get along with it and get.
No, amazing, Gulshan. I think the way that you've shared your stories and what you have achieved, I think we are going to have a special batch of students, of your kind. Don't look back at anything that happened and shrug it off or kind of look at it in a different way. But hats off to you, my God. So tell me a little bit, Gulshan. Let me draw a little parallel from this year and tell me, in your career, did you ever have like a tough year or a tough point in your career, which probably you had to like really fight through it and strive through it in a manner similar to how you did in college?
I would think.
It doesn't have to be that.
I would think it's a yeah. No, I would think it's a mindset. I think my initial years at GDGI, this is the arm of United Nations that I work for. It, I think the initial years, it was just I was coming from the government, so I'd seen big. I had worked with uh, quite a big. So I was not afraid as such, but I did have the baggage of, oh, this is such a big brand, and they must be doing something like something big and something massive. Will I fit in?
Mm,
The initial period, I think it was more psychological than really the work aspect of things. While I was doing fine, I got promoted. Most of everything was fine. But no, the initial days, I would say that that's tough because I felt it was. I thought of this as something too big, and this draws another story. I
mm,
mean, I've learned, and I'd share this. Another one that I would say anybody listening to this should take note of is somebody in my life told me that your efforts for your 50,000 rupees salary, for your 5 lakh rupees salary, or for your 5 crore rupees business, or for your 500 crore business is going to be the same. It's going to be absolutely the same. So it's just a mindset,
mm.
and those are the things that I'm telling this, and I promise you, nobody's gonna know what I'm saying this. What I'm saying now, but when you start to work on this and you land into big organizations, you realize, yes, there is a lot of systems that you learn and work with, but essentially, the work effort still remains the same. You know, um, just again the soft skills on how you
Mm.
how you fit into those things become important. So I would
Lovely.
say those are the tough years because I thought too big too highly about this thing, as anybody would. Oh, this could be a great organization, which it is,
Mm.
but
So,
never
so
let a brand take over your head. I guess that's my message.
let our viewers a little update on this. So, from Tata 2012, you joined the government of India. I'm guessing the
Department of
central.
Science and Technology. Yeah, I was at the Department of Science and Technology.
How did this happen? Where is the overlap in this? Because I think a lot of students would
Very
be
interesting.
keen on knowing, how do you
Yeah.
join the government?
So that was interesting. So I was doing this. Remember, the connection with the government was always there when I was working with Tata's because
Correct.
the programs were coming in as an offset policy. There
Correct.
was an India was buying a lot of Air Indias back then, and the offset policy said that 30% of India's investment in purchasing
Has to be
Air India
localized.
and other defense vehicles, which they should invest back into the country.
Mm.
So there was always this connection, and I knew a professor from IIM Ahmedabad, and I met him in Bangalore, and he's like, "Look, we need people who can help us to do technology transfers. So there are a lot of these innovations at the government,
Mm.
which don't go anywhere, which don't go to the private sector. So could you help us with that?"
Mm.
And that to me was interesting, and I was like, okay, this is a completely different thing, but it still involves technologies and innovations, and then mainstreaming it into the private sector. And well, I was getting a big title. He was telling me that he would be the business development head of a government department. I was like, okay, that is something. No, he started with a senior fellow, if I remember. I got into the. So he said he'll be a senior fellow. Now, honestly, going from the private sector, a fellow meant, I don't know what that means. Whether it's good or
Yeah.
bad. A senior
Yeah.
fellow.
Yeah.
It's a very researchy word. It's a fellow, senior fellow, principal. They're very researchy titles.
Yeah.
So then he promised me that no, it's a very respectable title, and there's only upward to look from there. And I said, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. And he said you'll make your own team, and you could have multi-sectoral engagement, and I'm glad in some ways I did that, because I did a lot of small innovations in agriculture, a lot of big innovations in the first solar farm that happened in India. Actually, I did the financial model for that for our now Prime Minister and back then Chief Minister of Gujarat. He did Charanka plant, and I'm lucky. I just the right time at the right place. I got lucky that the financial model was with us, and I got a chance to look at that. So that was just kind of that's a good question, and I look at it like that when I look back. It's a small company to a larger private sector company to a larger government whole, and now doing multi-country. That's really the graph that I talk about. How do you expand your work, and it just excites me. I like to think about it like that. Not getting deeper into one subject, but just trying to adapt to new modalities of working, I guess.
So tell me, how did you transition? Because I think when you're handling multidisciplinary teams, you're handling people from different countries. What is this? What do you see an overlap or like a framework that you kind of deploy regularly?
I reckon it's a clarity of purpose. That I think is the most important. I mean, throughout the professional career, I would say it has to be the clarity of purpose. I mean, our goal at Tata is very, very clear. How do we make this project viable, and how do we get it in? The project viability was the most important thing. Of course, there was a technology aspect to it. Whether we're doing the best clean room in India, because we are doing aerospace, so you need to be having those systems in place. But yeah, I guess color, race, wisdom, everything apart. If you have that clarity of purpose, and if you have your eyes on the ball, I guess that just sees through everything. And because honestly, I mean, I'm not talking about the bad things at work. There's a lot of clutter. There's a lot, and where I am, there's a lot of bureaucracy. You have no idea the amount of bureaucracy, and particularly for us, if we don't have the eye on our ball, I guess we can very easily get bogged down, with the bureaucracy that we are at. So very, very important, particularly because I'm in the investments arm, and my job really now is to support countries to get access to climate finance, which is committed to them, but they just don't know how to access it. Our failure reports can go far and wide, and there could be a lot of so sometimes that leads to slower decision making. So yeah, I think throughout, if I have to look back, it's got to be the clarity of purpose that I would think is the biggest strength that has worked across disciplines, across cultures.
Lovely. So I think this is very unique that you're saying, because from an outsider, when you look at government,
Hmm.
we kind of look at it never as clarity of purpose. We kind of always imagine it that government is doing things sometimes on a hit and miss kind of approach, and hopefully benefit will land. That kind of approach. But
So, no, but if you, yeah, no, I mean, from an overall system perspective, I think government really. Uh, I, I beg to differ a little bit. I mean,
mm,
the government really has a sense of strong purpose. Whether the purpose is right or not is the question. That's different. But
okay,
they definitely come up with an agenda, and they're driving that agenda really hard.
okay,
Economy is an agenda of the government, and they're really driving that. I mean, of course, among other factors, I'm saying, but uh, it was for the government, Mayur. I had a clean slate, and my job really
mm,
was technology transfers. I wanted to get the best guys from IIM Ahmedabad, and I was, like I said, I wasn't even an MBA. I was just doing financial models, and I was just doing business models for aerospace companies, and I was doing uh, you know uh, floor beams and aero engine parts and whatnot. Uh,
so
but
which year is this? So 2000.
2012, 12, 13, 14. 12, 13, yeah. Actually, I finished Tata around end 12, so 13, 14.
13, 14. And how long were you with the Department of Science
Two
and
and a half
Technology?
years. 2.5
Two
years.
and a
So
half
13,
years.
14, and 15, half, yeah.
And how did this meeting happen, if I can ask you? Like, how did you end up meeting somebody who encouraged you to join the government? This IM professor that you talk about, how did you end up meeting him?
No, so I was always in touch with him, and he knew what I was doing.
Lovely.
And Dr. R.A. Mishelkar was his boss. And
Okay.
Dr. R.A. Mishelkar was very good with Mr. Tata.
Acha.
They had, again, I just used to work out of Bombay house for a little bit to learn the financial model. Not that I worked out of the office, but there were a lot of people that exchanged, knowledge with us. So we used
Ah.
to meet 2 or 3 times a year, and he knew me. And I mean, the conversation actually happened on a flight. I remember I wrote to him, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm flying from Bangalore to Ahmedabad or something,"
Ah.
and then he was like, "Hey, dude, look, I have this thing that I know, and would you be interested?" It's quite random, to be honest.
Lovely, lovely. Imagine that, huh? By chance, you end up meeting somebody who encourages you to join the government.
Yeah, I mean, look, opportunities would always be there, right? And it was an interesting one on that, in the sense that it was giving me more responsibility. And
And then tell us a little bit about how the UN, chapter of your life happened, because that I think is a very interesting one.
that was an interesting one. Like I said, like I started to say, my my wife was in the US, and we got married when she was in the US, and she came to Korea while
Okay.
I was still with the DST. And so that decision really was, um, whether do I go to Korea or keep working at the DST. And the work was really good. I really enjoyed it. Um,
Tell me again the timeline on this. Which year is this?
so 2015, end of 2015.
And for our viewers, can you tell us who your wife is?
So
And how did you meet her?
yeah. So she so she's from the college. We used to study together. She was one of four girls in the class that we had. We used to hang out a lot, mostly related to studies and mostly related to what we were doing. Actually, we kept in touch because my industrial training was Mahindra's, and she was at L&T. So
Ah,
we were exchanging notes on how because she happened to join Mahindra's after college.
ah,
So
nice.
there was a lot of keeping in touch, and who's who, and what's the company like, and so on and so forth. Yeah, and then, like I said, she went to the US and came to Korea, and I wanted to keep my marriage, so I traveled to Korea to be with her, and make sure that I had a marriage after after a while. No, but that was
Lovely.
so the.
See,
I think I got this job mostly because of Tata's. I mean,
huh.
uh, And because, like I said, I was doing investments, and I got trained from the best in the country. Like I said,
Hmm.
I'm not an academically trained investment person, and if I am heading an investment arm of United Nations today, the Asia arm,
Hmm.
it's purely because of the training that I got at Tata's. Learning the and also because it was the first models that we were building for aerospace. Mayur. What really
Hmm.
happened is the training went beyond uh, the usual skill sets. We
Hmm.
had to defend our models, our financial models,
Hmm.
to the company, to Boeing, right? Because we were asking funds from them. There was
Correct.
basically fundraising plus. So there was a lot of these kind of solid training. And when I landed in here, remember, all the United Nations projects are not viable projects.
Hmm.
They are ones which are like green hydrogen. I work on green hydrogen. Let's say I did the world's largest floating solar in India, which is in Omkareshwar. Actually, my project has my name on it. That 600 megawatt floating solar, that was never viable. So that training of not viable projects, when they heard it, like, and somebody at the panel, of course, people know Tata, and they were like, this is a skill set that's very very hard to get. And that's how I kind of got into the system. And like I said, primitive years at the UN was a bit scary. Like, what have I got myself into? But no, I think slowly and gradually I got the knack of it, and I
Hmm.
became a decent enough performer and rose up the ranks.
Now, how many years have you spent at UN now, if I can ask?
Oh my goodness, that's 8 years. Yeah,
8 years now.
eight and a half. Yeah,
Lovely, lovely.
yeah. So yeah, no,
My man.
it's been quite a lovely journey outside of CRCE. I mean, I think like you said, you really touched upon a very important year of my life, particularly in terms of professional life and learning. When I was at the lowest point, that really, and when they say failure is the road to success or stepping stone to success. They mean it, man. They really do. And that kind of kick. It's
Hmm.
very scary to think of falling that into that valley again. I cannot afford to do that. It will never happen. Once you
My.
see that, yeah, you'll never happen again. It's just too scary of them. You just only
Amazing.
run from there. Yeah.
Amazing. I think that's incredible. I think do share a couple of stories from, I think, or personal interactions with a couple of your professors, if you, remember them fondly, because I think we had all the rock stars of production
Oh,
engineering, if I'm allowed to say it.
yeah. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Like Diggaj is not even the right word. They were absolutely brilliant people. Let me think. Professor Joshi. I think he used to do TQM, and he used to do other subject.
Human
NM
factors, I
Joshi.
believe,
Yeah?
right?
NM Joshi.
NM Joshi. And I think which subject was this? The TQM was under the
Total
human
quality
factors.
management. He used to do total
Correct.
quality management. He used to also do one more subject. I forget now.
There was something
Uh,
related to human factors also that he used to do, right?
yeah, the therbligs and all of that. Yeah.
Correct.
You know?
I remember that. My God, that was so etched into my memory after a little while on how the hand movements at this thing,
Ergonomics and stuff like that.
ergonomics and
Yeah.
everything. I was like, wow, I didn't know there was a science behind it. I thought it was
There
like
was a science
comedy.
behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually,
So tell us, because very interesting, because NM Joshi, Professor NM Joshi is also alumni and who ended up taking up the professor role at college. So tell us
yeah.
a little bit about this.
You know, like I said, my interaction with him really was, again, going back to, I was not academically strong, but after a while, there is fear of approaching. Anybody had gone. I was asking stupid questions left, right, and center. I
Hmm.
just wanted to bloody learn and make sure that I knew it, and I will ace the exam, whatever, come what may. So I went to I remember going to him after, and very often, whenever that I was in school, very often I would wait after school and do the drawing hall sheets,
My, yeah.
and these were some professors: Professor Bilolikar, Professor N.M. Joshi, M.D. Sir Nag Chaudhary. These were some professors who would be there, who would be working. N.C. Sir yeah, not very often, but okay, sometimes you would also find him.
Correct.
So I remember going to him and I'm like, sir, I don't understand anything that you teach, that you taught in a
This
particular
is
thing.
Professor N.M. Joshi.
And
You
for
went up.
anybody to say that, it's like, what the heck? I mean, you would imagine, somebody getting almost.
Shell shocked, right? You would be like, listen, what were you doing up till now that you're coming
You
up
were
to
not
me?
listening or you were not paying
Yeah,
attention. It's not in the exact words that I didn't understand the entire lecture, but a particular part of it. But dude, I tell you what, this gesture of his was very touching actually, because he actually sat me down and he gave me time. Another professor is Bilolika. I'll come to that in a bit, but
hmm,
he actually sat me down and he spent time, and that is respect. That then the respect for Professor Joshi was always. Uh, I tried. In fact, when I was at the DST, we used to do events at Rashtrapati Bhavan. I always invited Professor Joshi and others to come, and
my,
we
lovely.
have had CRCE professors come to the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Uh,
Lovely. Which
yeah, yeah,
year is
yeah.
this? Under your this thing invitation?
Yeah. I used to give invitations to CRC, and we used to have some professors
Do
come in.
share a few photographs, and if you have.
Wouldn't have them. No, I wouldn't have them. I tell you who had come. You have to remind me of the name because, oh boy, it's going to be tough.
Uh,
Uh,
Tell us from our department, or was it from which department did I?
production. I would have
TSV
production.
sir, Joshi
No,
sir, then who? Bilorika sir is there, then BJD sir is there, Desai sir.
no, no, not Desai, sir. Not. I will give you the name. I promise. I'll message you the
Yeah,
name.
please do,
But
please do.
I had participation from our college when
Lovely.
we did events at Rashtrapati Bhavan. But yeah, no. The point is that respect, or that is just one gesture that I'm talking about. But their gesture in just teaching, uh, it was not really about pointing that you guys are nuts. Some professors could have done that. I don't know of them, but I really wanted to learn. Yeah, and they were really really helpful. Uh, Same incident with Bilolika sir. I think he did fluid mechanics or something like that. No, mechanics is
Tom, I
TSV.
think. Tom was, Bilodikar was Tom, and then EFAC, if I remember right, one of the last
Defect was
few.
last year, and
Hmm.
Som was second year. He did something in third year.
Theory of
Tom
machines. Theory of machines. Tom.
Yeah, Tom. So
Correct.
Tom was a subject which I found difficult to be difficult, and he would sit me down. Professor Broliker is another one who comes to mind, who would wouldn't mind if I asked him questions out of the class. I mean, so many professors to talk about. Yeah, I mean, our maths teacher.
Oh my. Sundri ma'am.
She was Sundri
Kanolkar
ma'am.
ma'am also, and then
She
Sundri
was
ma'am. My
amazing,
God. Yeah, yeah.
and I would just go and tell them I want to learn. And, it
Yeah,
was
yeah. This, I think, even I'll personally share
I
that.
was scared to go to. I was scared to go to MD. Let me be very honest. I
Yeah,
wouldn't go and tell him I don't know anything. He'd be like, I don't even know what his reaction is. I am scared. I think I'm still scared of him.
correct.
If I meet him
Yeah,
now,
still. As a matter of fact, the other day when I messaged him, there were too many sirs in that message, and I was later, I was realizing, I was like, maybe I think I should tone down a little bit, and I think. But
but
then
that's also the respect for him.
his reply was almost like I could hear it. The message that he typed out. Wish you all the best. Go for the meeting. And I was like, this is exactly how MD would. I could hear his voice in that message. I was like, that was spot on with that. Lovely, I
Correct.
think. Lovely, I think. There's not one professor that you could forget. I think from our batch. I don't think.
No, yeah, absolutely not.
I think Hemant sir also, Kanolkar sir also. When I meet him,
Mhm.
and I tell him, sir, whatever you want. The other day he was sitting down for admissions, and somebody passed by, and I think Sapna Prabhu, if you remember, she was part of the
Yeah,
electronics
yeah.
department, and she passed by and she said, Mayur, what are you doing? And are you part of the admissions team? And I said, no, I'm here only for Hemant sir. If he wants water, if he wants tea, I'm standing by for that. And I said that, you know what? I'm going to be there because hats off. These were the teachers who, I think, I have immense pride in my faculty who taught us. I think
One
that's
name that I don't mention is because he goes above all of them is Dr. R.C. Shah. And for
my.
personal reasons, I don't think I'm going to quote his benevolent behavior with me in
Oh,
this
that
way. college. I mean, but
That was
he's
very
really a
heart
true
touching
guru.
what you
He's really a
shared.
true guru for me, and what he's done for me is really really nice.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think I don't think we speak enough about him and his journey. I think how he is taken from one classroom behind the church to pretty much having 5 floors of an engineering college, pumping out like engineers, 200, 300 engineers every year. It's fantastic. I think that is one gentleman that goes class apart. That
if I can take his honesty and his like earnest effort to make the change, you don't really need to move mountains. You need to do your best, and that's enough.
yeah.
I think that person is really
I think I think a lot of us forget in the comic approach that he had to teaching,
yeah.
but he has instilled values in pretty much everybody from CRC whoever studied under him. And I think that's the reason why we would still have him. I don't know whether you remember or not, but I don't know when was the last alumni meet that you have been able to join us. But we still had Dr. Shisha Iyer join us, even though he became the dean for SP Jain. And I remember one time just by chance I had gone for this alumni meet, and from across the room you see him, and then you're like, my God, he's here. And I've gone to him and I've touched his feet. And first things first, how he's jumped, how he was comical about things, he's jumped, don't touch my feet, don't do all of this. And, it was like, I was like, my God, very fond memories. Let me start by advice that you can give students.
I mean, I think, look, for the people, for what students, for the incoming students or people
So,
out
what advice would you give to your current students and the recent graduates looking
recent
to
graduates?
excel, yes, in their
Right.
career path? Yes.
So stepping out of CRC,
Yes.
I can assure you guys that you have. We spoke a little bit about when if you hear back the recording, we spoke a little bit about hard skills and soft skills.
Correct.
Yeah. I can assure you that once you're out of CRCE, you have the weaponry.
Mm.
You are completely enabled to perform anything that is needed. Just have that mindset that you can do it.
Mm.
That don't falter on that, because everything relies on that one mindset, right?
Correct.
So when you step out, have that humility of have that labor you know labor of love. What when you enter into any business, there are going to be a lot of these uh, you know people wanting to do all kinds of stuff and others, but focus on learning, right? For the first couple years, think of it as an extended college, right? Because of course there'll be a lot of different learning. There'll be new subjects. You will be in the first 2 or 3 years. What I would tell you is you would be learning something that will give you your remuneration till the age 60. The first few skill sets that you get that. I mean, I know of people in the automotive sector, in Mahindra and others, from our batch, who've gotten into a certain final assembly or uh, axle assembly or engine assembly, whatever that is, right? And what they learn in the first 2 3 years is really some of the skill sets is what they keep on honing. So and kahin na kahin par jaake you will keep on building onto your strengths. So your strengths will actually build in the first formative year. So really, really important to keep that mindset of learning, and know that nobody can learn better than you because you've learned at Father CRC, and that's a fact. That's 100% given that once you step out of CRC, nobody can learn better than you. Remember that, because you've learned in an environment where you've gone through the grind. It only gets easier from here. The grind. But if you keep the grind at the level of CRC, you will be above everybody else. You'll definitely be the upper echelons, definitely the first 10% in any organization in the world. That I can promise you. And that's the biggest advice for people going out. Keep that mindset, and yeah, and don't buckle down under any kind of nonsense. Just keep rolling, and you definitely make a difference.
Couple of more questions, and I think let me touch upon that, and I think then we'll conclude. I think we are on a we just crossed the 1 hour mark now, so
Yeah.
let's wrap up. I think what are your future goals like? What is something that now? Where are you aiming personally to go from here?
Um, Interesting question. I from a very short-term goal perspective, I'm in the climate change world. I
Correct.
work in climate change, and I am here trying to make a difference with what I work on. Uh, I would say my immediate goals are to see some of the countries. Now I speak that level because I just engage with the countries. Those are my clients, countries. Some of the countries becoming equipped to raise funding just like India, China, US, and the UK. Now, I'll explain what I mean. Uh, the countries in the world are divided into three brackets: high income countries, middle income countries, and LDCs, low development countries. Right?
Okay.
So HICs can raise funds at a much cheaper rate, of course, because their credit ratings are high.
Fair.
So I'm talking about ministries of finance, right? If ministry wants to raise fund, Ministry of Finance, they are basically given just like us, right? We want to go take a home loan. If your credit rating is high, you can get a cheaper basis point and all of that, right?
Correct.
If you look at countries like Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Fiji, Vanuatu, the small countries, right? They are the one who need support, but their credit ratings are not good. Right? Their credit scores are not good because, of course, they don't have the systems in place like the China, like the India, like the even Pakistan for that matter. I am talking from a global perspective, so keeping that part. But my point really is, how can we support these smaller countries so that they become enabled to get access to finance? So for critical issues like healthcare, for education, and for something like climate change, right? That truly is my goal. That's what I work for, and that's what I think I want to dedicate my next 5 to 7 years to make sure that they get access to good climate finance.
Lovely. I think, wow, that's a very noble mission that you're on, Gulshan. And I think hats off to you. And from what I'm hearing, I think definitely, I'm sure you're going to be the one person who will be achieving it. And wish you the best on those, plans ahead. I think great. I think Gulshan, thank you for taking out time. I think it's been lovely interacting with you. What a lovely way to end this conversation. I think Gulshan, hats off to you. I think some of the most interesting things that I have heard, and for our viewers, let me just iterate it again.
Truly been an honor. I was not expecting to talk to about anything. I am not, like I said, I am not the success story. I'm the failure story. And thank you for choosing a failure story to possibly inspire anybody who can listen to this. But also, I'm happy to drop in my email address.
Yes.
And in fact, even my telephone number. If people want to reach out, I'll be very happy to talk to anybody.
Absolutely. We'll tag all your contact details at the end of this, or probably even in the video link that we'll broadcast across. So great, Gulshan.
All right.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And looking forward to interacting again.